Hi, I'm Ellen Lewis from Crazy for You. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Rita. Hi, Amelia. It's nice to see you. So, tonight we're going to talk about Rowan needles. You know, when we talk about knitting and we think about the knitting experience, we usually think about the yarn. We think, oh, what color is it? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What kind of fabric does it make? And we don't always pay that much attention to the needles. But, really the needles make up a huge aspect of the knitting experience. Probably more than the yarn itself when you think about the fact that you might use the same kind of needles for multiple projects, multiple sweaters. You actually spend much more time with those needles than you do with any one kind of yarn. Um, so, like over the years, I have spent a lot of time with a lot of different needles. I've used dozens and dozens of different kinds. I own dozens and dozens of different kinds. I probably have, 6 to 10 sets of needles, both interchangeable, straights, circulars, the works. Um, and they're all different. They really are all different. You um, you can't just look at them and say, oh, they're all pointed or they're not pointed. I mean, they have so many different characteristics to them. And these are subtle, subtle differences. If you're a beginner, you might not notice these differences at all. And if you are kind of a beginning knitter, let me just say that um, there is no one perfect needle. The idea that, you're going to pick the one needle to rule them all, the one needle to bind them. No, that's not really a thing because, like with so many tools, the right one for the right job. Um, so they have different aspects, different characteristics. They serve in different ways, different yarns, and all of that stuff. So I wanted to share with you tonight a look at the Rowan needles. So these are beautiful needles. Those of you who were at the retreat had a chance to knit with the Rowan needles. And if you were and you're here, I would love to hear in the comments what you thought about them. Or if you've had a chance to work with the Rowan needles generally, not at the retreat, I would be excited to hear what you have to say. But let's just take a look at my current crush, the Rowan needles. I'm going to share my screen here. First of all, let me also say that I am reviewing or sharing with you the Rowan circular needles. Now, the Rowan needle line, they make straights, they make double points, and they make circulars. It's kind of interesting, sort of the shift in preference. Back in the day, I knit with exclusively straight needles, 14-inch straight needles, and that's what I carried in the shop as recently as, well, I opened the store in 2004, and I carried the straight needles. I still carry the straight needles, but the sales of 14-inch straight needles versus circular needles, I probably sell 10 to 1 circular needles, maybe 20 to 1. So I think that's kind of an interesting shift stateside. Now, I understand in Great Britain, they prefer straight needles. So I know that Rowan, being a British company, finds that the straight needles are really important to that market. So they have both. But for the purpose of this, we're going to be looking at the Rowan circulars. So, hi, Carolyn. Hi, Evelyn. Hey, Norma. Nice to see you guys. Let's see. I'm glad. I'm so glad you liked them. So let me get this up here. Okay, so this is how the Rowan needles are packaged. Let's see if I can't get this a little better. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so this is how they're packaged, and they really are just very beautifully done. Um, the packaging is obviously recycled, so very, very pretty. And if you look at the needles themselves, you can see that they're made of wood, and they have just a really, really beautiful, smooth finish. Um, they are wood, but they're stained really dark. So it's the Rowan branded brown color. So it looks very Rowan-like, which is super nice. And you can see, sort of hard to see here, maybe in the larger needles, but you can see they're imprinted with the Rowan logo on them and the size, both US and metric size. So you can feel the texture you can feel that they're smooth and you can see that they're wood, but you can't feel the grain at all. So, yeah, they're really, really super smooth. And I wanted to point out also that they are certified by FSC, which is the Forest Stewardship Council, which means that the wood used in the needles is traceable from the source on the farm all the way to the retailer. So Rowan knows exactly where the wood came from, how it was harvested, and that it was manufactured in a really ethical way, and all of that kind of flows into the labor source and what I think is really important about these needles, and all of that with an eye to sustainability, and it's in keeping with this concept and this trend toward being able to identify the source of all of your raw materials. Rowan is big into being able to source the fiber from where the farm is, where the animals are, to be able to go and look at those animals and see how they're cared for, and really being able to know exactly the provenance of all of their materials. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Joan. Nice to see you. Let's see. Good, good. Valerie likes metals, but is willing to try these. Good girl. I think you will really, really enjoy them. And especially as we go through, I'll show you. Rita, love the smoothness. Yeah, I think they're really, really quite lovely. So, yeah. All right. So let's look at these again. So just in terms of the appearance, you can see that the shaft is 5 inches, which is my preferred length. That doesn't give you a 16-inch, but it definitely will give you 24 and above. Do you know what I'm saying about if you have a 5-inch shaft like this, you can't get a smaller circumference than, say, 24. You can't get to a 16-inch circumference. It's just too long. But the way I hold my needles, the 5-inch shaft is absolutely perfect. So it really works well for me. So like I said, it's really, really silky. It's a beautiful, silky, smooth feel. The tip is very nicely tapered. It's about a 1/2 inch taper from the beginning of the taper to the tip. So that's a nice even amount. The point of it, which is kind of everybody's sort of biggest sticking point, I love this tip. I love this point a lot. You can see it's very pointy, but it's not sharp. It's not like a needle. I have a tendency when I really kind of get going to use my index finger to push the stitches off of my left needle. And if I'm working with a very, very sharp pointed needle, that can get a little painful on my fingers. But so this has a really, really nice tip. Let's look at the cable as well. So the join, this is a fixed join, so it doesn't rotate, but it's very smooth. You really have a hard time discerning the point at which that cable becomes the needle. It's really, really smooth in all the sizes, even in the smaller and the larger, very, very smooth. Um, the cable itself is plastic. It is flexible, but not floppy. This one has not had a bath in the hot tub. These others that I was working with have had a little bath in the hot tub. So when you think about when needles come right out of the package, so obviously they're all curled up to fit into this little package. Um, think about yourself after a plane ride or a long trip in the car. You know, you're all bunched up, and I think we all feel a little better when we've had a nice hot bath. Feel much more relaxed and flexible. Um, so what I do is when I have a plastic cable like this, I just heat up a pan of water on the stove, not to boiling, just to hot. It should be hot enough that I can still stick my finger in it, that I notice it, but not so hot that it's going to burn me. And then I just give my needles a little dip in that hot water, and they do really relax a lot. So very, very nice. Like I said, they're flexible but not floppy, and they don't get in your way. So this size that I'm showing you here is the US 6, so a 4 millimeter needle. And you can see the cable is about 2 millimeters wide. And what's nice and interesting, I think, is if you look at the larger needle, so this is a US 13, the cable of the larger needle is actually larger than the cable of the smaller needles. So the cables are in proportion to the needle size on the fixed circulars, which I think is really nice. Then you don't have this sharp variance as it goes from needle to cable. So I think it just makes it really a nice, it's a nice little benefit. So they're nice and pointy. They're very smooth. The cable is nice. What are they like to knit with? So I went ahead and cast on these, this size. I cast on some cotton, and cotton can be a little bit splitty and unpleasant, but I found this very nice to knit with. And I also found that the needle tip seemed somehow to find the stitch without any effort on my part, without splitting the stitch. So what that means, I think, is that the point is just right. It's able to nose its way in to the stitch on your needle, but it's not so sharp that it's going to accidentally split the stitch at all. And we know that cotton can be notoriously splitty. So I think that was kind of a testament to the nature of the tip, really appealing. And the stitches really glide on the needle. They feel nice on the needle when I'm knitting it. I probably need to go down a needle size because cotton, and you always need to go down a needle size with the cotton. But it's a really nice feel. The yarn glides easily. I am not a tight knitter, but I don't feel like my stitches are going to fall off or that they're going to come off before I'm ready. So it's a very, very pleasant knitting experience with them. As you're knitting, the needles make a really pleasant sound. So you know how some needles will give an unpleasant sort of scratchy scratch sound. I mean, obviously these are wood, so they don't have that, but it is a very gentle little tap, tap sound. It's really appealing. So I like that very much. So that was with the cotton. All right, let's see. Terry said, yep, she liked the needles. Hi, Glenn. Can you buy them in a set or just as individuals? Yes. Well, funny you should ask. I'll show you that at the end. And Carolyn, there might seem to be a staggering array of needles available. Fixed cable, rotating joint. Yes. Aw, well, thank you. You're absolutely welcome, Carolyn. I love to share what I find out with you guys. It makes me happy because I do think that there's a lot out there, and it could be overwhelming to try and go and purchase something, some of each for yourself to see what you like. Again, there is no perfect needle. There is not one needle that is the one that you're going to marry forever and ever and never look at another needle. It's not like that, fortunately. So, different needles for different yarns. So I did try these needles on different yarns. So let's have a look at that. This is an Aran weight silk and wool single ply. And single ply can be notoriously easy to split with a very, very pointy needle. And it can also be a little challenging to get the needle into if the tip is too blunt. So I found this very nice to knit with this is a US 10. Um, it didn't need any extra effort on my part. I was able to knit by touch without looking at the stitches at all, and just it really is a nice smooth feel when you knit with this. Part of it, of course, is, I mean, how do you argue with silk and wool single ply? It's really quite lovely. Um, but again, it's that nice tip. It has a really, really nice feel. And nice is not a great word. It has a balanced point on it. It is not too pointy and it is not too blunt. And it's a sufficient length of taper that you can get into the stitch easily. I also tried on all of these needles that I'm showing you in the different sizes. I tried knit two together, knit three together, slip, slip, knit, and all the kinds of things that you might do on a lace pattern or any kind of shaping. And I found it very easy to get, into those two stitches. It didn't stick. It didn't, it wasn't, sometimes if a needle is too blunt, it can be hard to get in there and manipulate the stitches to get that tip into between the stitches and wrap the yarn around. So I didn't find that to be a problem at all. I thought they were just beautiful. Let's see. So I liked that. Very good. This is the US 10. And you can see that on the 10, the cable is slightly larger than it is on the 6. So really the true test for me was I had some boucle lying around. And this came up because Kim Hargreaves' trunk show has two stunning garments in the Rowan soft boucle. And boucle can be notoriously challenging to knit with whatever needle. Too pointy a needle, and that point is going to catch in the loops of the boucle. If the needle is too blunt, it's not going to get in there and find the core of the yarn for you. So it can be a challenge to knit the boucle. So I thought, all right, I don't have the Rowan soft boucle here today, but I did have some very challenging boucle yarn to knit with. And I cast that on with a US size 13. And let me tell you, I was very pleasantly surprised. Here is that boucle on the US 13. And again, it was just the right tip. It felt exactly right. It went into the stitch. It was able to find, oops, I've got the wrong picture up here, haven't I? There we go. Okay, so it was able to find the stitch on the needle with the tip without splitting anything. And it's the first needle I've ever used on boucle that I didn't have to watch every stitch like a hawk. I could actually knit by touch with these needles on the boucle. So that to me was a huge win. If you buy a pair of the Rowan needles for nothing more than to knit the Rowan soft boucle with, it would be money well spent. And talking about money, these are definitely a luxury needle. They run more than most bamboo needles. They are not outrageously priced. I mean, I think they are definitely within the scope of, a luxury needle line. Um, and they really are beautiful. For me, they made the knitting experience really, really pleasant. And I love the look. I love the feel. I will definitely use these a lot. So you've seen the individuals and the packaging. So let me show you the set. Hey, Kaidi. Rita had asked about whether the needles came in an interchangeable set or a set of needles, and the two answers. One of them is that yes, they come in a set, and two, they have plans for lots more things coming. We have a question here I'm going to post. So, yes, you will be pleased to know that Rowan does have plans to come out with these in an interchangeable set. So, I am going to try to back this up. Maybe I won't. Okay, so let me just show you here. Look at this beautiful kit. So, this is a set of the Rowan fixed needles. This is a beautiful soft canvas pack. It's got the Rowan logo on the bottom. It's really beautiful. This is, of course, custom made for Rowan by Della Q. And it opens up into a lovely set of needles. So their set goes from from US 1 up to US 17. So this is definitely a luxurious treat for yourself if you were interested in the Rowan needles. This is just beautiful. So currently what Rowan has available is straight needles and 32-inch circulars. So if you are, as Lulu said, if you are someone who likes to knit with two different sizes, she tends to purl a little more loosely than she knits, and so she'll put a smaller needle on this side for when she's purling, which is a brilliant response to rowing out. You'll be pleased to know that there are interchangeable needles coming in your future. So that's a great thing. Yes, it is quite a range. I really do. I'm very impressed with the thoughtfulness to what you need, all the sizes. Let's have a look at that smallest size. So the US one it's right here. You can see that it's a tiny bit flexible, which is good because these small needles tend to be, they can be brittle. And when you're knitting something where you're having to get in there real tight, you put a lot of torque on those small needles. So you really want something that's going to give a little bit before it snaps. So I really do like the way these are put together. Again, that the cable on the finer needle is finer than it is on the larger needles. So it just seems like every detail of the needle has really been well thought out by Rowan with a careful attention to what the knitter needs. And I love that. I'm not surprised, it's Rowan, but I am pleased. So I think this is a beautiful, luxurious set, and I am super happy with mine. And it's nice to have a whole set there, just something that you can pick up and put in your bag and know that you have all of the sizes that you need. I think we all fell in love with these 2 weekends ago when we saw them at the retreat. Yeah. So they are beautiful. Um, were there any questions that I can answer about the needles? Did you have anything specifically that you wanted to see or wanted to know about them? I know that they are made in India, and as I said, they are not only the forest stewardship certified, they are acquired fair trade. So I love that as well. And everything about it is very much with an eye on sustainability, and the fact that you can get sustainability and luxury, I think is just really lovely, really, really lovely. So I'm happy with them. So it looks like there might be a little bit of a lag on my camera, and I apologize for that. But anyway, if you are thinking about trying the Rowan needles, please, I encourage you to do so. If you have a challenging yarn that you haven't been able to find the right needle for, I think these just might be the ticket, because they're such a perfect balance of pointiness, of glide. They're smooth and they glide without being too slippery. They have a nice point without being needle-like. So they're definitely kind of your, I call it your baby bear kind of needle. They're not to this and they're not to that. They're just right. Does the cable feel like it'd work for Magic Loop? Apologies if you said so already. No, I didn't already say that. So I believe that, and that's my point in saying that the cable is flexible but not floppy. I do think you could use it for the Magic Loop. So let me pull the one that I had not attached to anything. So I think you could definitely do the Magic Loop if I were gonna. So you see how it can bend out. You can do that. You might want to get something a little larger than a 32 for the Magic Loop. I'm not sure what size you typically use for your Magic Loop. I've done the modified Magic Loop with the 32 beautifully. So I think that might be why they came out with the 32 to begin with, because you can always just pull that extra little bit of cable out, and it curls nicely, again, without being so tight or so stiff that you can't Magic Loop it. So the answer is yes. I believe you could use the Magic Loop with this just perfectly. Are they out now? So the needles are out now, but the interchangeable set is not out now. If you are interested in the Rowan needles, they absolutely have those available for sale. Valerie, I know you're in Great Britain, and I'm sure that they have retailers in Great Britain. Those of you who are in the United States, I absolutely have them for sale, and you can get them on my website. Does the set you showed all have the same length cable? Yes. So right now, the circular needles that are available from Rowan are 32-inch. They are coming out with 24-inch and 16-inch, but right now 32 is what they have available in production. This really is kind of a new product line for Rowan. I'm so glad that they've gotten into this product line, because I really do think they're doing a beautiful job, like I said, balancing sustainability and luxury and making a product that's really well thought out for the knitter. So, but it takes time. It takes time to figure out what the market wants, and they're dealing with an entire global market. So the U.S. market is going to be different than the British market or the Asian market or the European market or, the Australian market or whatever. So they're all different, and I can't even imagine having to deal with that. Let's see. Oh, they are so scrumptious, Kyle. Yes, they are beautiful. Just love them. So those will be on the website soon, won't they? Yeah. So I am really delighted that you joined me tonight to have a look at these beautiful, luxurious needles. Let me know what you think when you do get a set. You can comment on this video when it's posted on YouTube and on Facebook. I would be so happy to hear your thoughts. So until next time, have a wonderful evening and happy knitting. Good night.